Hey there, everybody. Hockey fans from all over the country. Thank you for joining us this week. It is the Saturday Night Hockey Show. And without further ado, I'll bring on my co-host, Mr. Travis Aurednik. Travis, how you doing this evening, sir?
Doing good, Dave. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. So let me get all my stuff propped up here so I can answer. We can take questions as we're doing the show tonight. This night we've got a full slate of games. Let's run through the schedule here.
Yeah, a lot of big games going on tonight too.
Yeah, so it's very heavily loaded. There was one game today. My Sabres took care of business, beat the New Jersey Devils 4-3 in a shootout. Jack Eichel got the winner in the shootout. Linus Olmark, man, he looks fantastic, but he'll give up just bad angle goals from time to time, and he did that on the tying goal this afternoon. But I tell you what, he is the sole reason we got a single point against the Rangers the other night, and he is the reason why we held in against the Devils this afternoon and got the win. But so tonight's games, we start with Edmonton at Toronto. That's the Hockey Night in Canada main game this week. Pittsburgh and New York Rangers, two teams that are kind of at a crossroads, I believe. And we'll talk about that a little more later, especially regarding Jim Rutherford. New York Islanders and Philadelphia will be matching up. These are teams that have struggled a little bit over the last week, so we'll see what transpires here. The Islanders had a really bad loss the other night. They're up 3-0 in the first period against the Washington Capitals, and then the Capitals just boat raced them the rest of the game. So
yeah, pulled that Panther pickup.
Yeah, exactly. Boston and Washington. This one is intriguing. We'll talk a little bit more about Boston later, but this is the season debut for David Pastrnak and the first game back in Boston for Zdeno Chara. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Dallas and Carolina. This is actually going to be a very good matchup because Dallas is 4-0. They had the slow start with COVID, but they haven't lost. They've looked good every game that they played. Mind you, it was against Detroit the last two games, but still they took care of business. And Carolina, same thing. They're at 3-1 on the season. Had issues with COVID, so this is their first game back. In fact, Carolina is listed. Well, when we go through the standings, they're listed as like second from the bottom in their division, but that's just because they've only played 4 games. Nashville, Tampa Bay. Nashville, they've had some dicey games this week and last week and a half. So let's need to see a little bit more consistency from the Predators as they move forward. Florida is going to benefit from the fact that they're playing Detroit. Detroit's on I think a 4-game losing streak at this point. Calgary,
also a 4-season losing streak.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Calgary, Montreal. We'll definitely be picking on Calgary later, but Montreal, man, they look good. I know Toronto's leading that division, but they're looking really good tonight. That's the slate of games that start here in about 25 minutes. We have starting at 8:00, Colorado and Minnesota. Minnesota is still surprising to me. They're Kaprizov, the rookie, I think is kind of one of those early favorites for rookie of the year, along with Ty Smith out of New Jersey. But it's an interesting matchup. This is playing against Colorado, the big boys now. So let's see how they do. They've kind of feasted on LA a few times this year, and we'll see how Minnesota can pick it up. St. Louis and Anaheim is 9:00 start. St. Louis is they benefited from Vegas the other night having issues with COVID, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Getting the shootout win against the Golden Knights. Anaheim, man, John Gibson looks great. He's looked great all season, and
world class right now.
Yeah, And then finally, the second half of Hockey Night in Canada this evening is Vancouver at Winnipeg, 10 o'clock. This will be an interesting game. Vancouver's kind of feasted on the Senators lately, so they're moving back up the standings. Winnipeg has been treading water in the division, so we'll see. We'll see how this game turns out. Whether Vancouver is just benefiting off playing an Ottawa team that is really struggling right now, or if they are actually getting healthier and gelling a little bit. But what games are you looking forward to this evening?
Yeah, man, absolutely. My number one pick for games this evening by far is going to be Dallas, Carolina. I think that we're going to see Dallas's first loss tonight. I've got Carolina on the money line, and then for my power parlay, I've got Tampa Bay, Nashville at the 6th line going over.
Thank you for online sports betting, West Virginia.
Yeah. I've got Carolina on the same ticket to hit the money line, and then I've actually got the Capitals tonight against Boston on the 1.5 over. So I'm really, really, really hoping to see Ovi make a debut tonight. I know it could happen. He could be back for this game.
No, Pasta.
No, Ovi could be back.
Well, Ovi's supposed to be back as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So with him coming back tonight, I think it's going to be a serious thing for the Caps.
I will give the Caps all the credit in the world. You have your top offensive player, a very good offensive player, one of your better defensive players, and a goalie sit out for 4 games. Then you lose your sandpaper forward and Tom Wilson for a couple of games, and they don't lose a game. And well, I mean they lost the game to Buffalo in a shootout, but they got points and they had points in all the games this season. So for me, the money games for me, I'm gonna agree with you on the Carolina game with Dallas, Boston with Washington. Again, it's just the matchup. You're talking about Chara returning to playing against Boston for the first time. You're talking about David Pastrnak making a season debut. You're talking about Ovi coming back from the COVID cluster, and so we'll see what transpires this evening. There should be some fireworks, although Marchand says he's not going to poke the bear when it comes to Mr. Chara, which I think is a wise move. It's a life extending move for Mr. Chara.
Yeah.
Marchand.
Yeah, absolutely. Extending the life of rats.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the standings tonight. As we move in, there are no games currently going right now, so this is the standings as we speak. Toronto's leading the North Division, but man, Montreal hasn't had a regulation loss yet this year. They look good, man. That team is just scoring in bunches. Toronto's not doing too bad. They're only 3 goals behind Montreal, but Montreal's defense is far better than what Toronto is putting forth right now. But yeah, I mean, this was kind of how I saw this division shaking out as far as who is going to win this division. Toronto, Montreal, Montreal, Toronto. You can't go wrong either way. I mean, Toronto actually has more points, but played 2 less games. Or Montreal's played 2 less games. And Montreal, and I think this is probably going to be a much bigger stat this year as we lose more games to COVID. But that points percentage is probably going to be a factor if there are teams that lose a number of games and we get to the end of the season, we can't make them up. You're going to see playoffs decided on points percentage. So Montreal is leading there. Winnipeg is doing well. We're hopefully start seeing PLD get involved and how that affect trade affects the team moving forward.
Yeah, and also news as it stands right now for Pierre-Luc Dubois. He is in Winnipeg. Line A is in Ohio. They are currently doing their mandatory quarantine,
Yeah.
but both guys have arrived in their new home. So
Apparently only 48 hours for Columbus. So I don't know how long it's going to be for Winnipeg. Canada's got different rules, but
I think they're going to make Dubois do the whole 2 weeks.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, that's probably going to put a damper on a lot of these cross border trades. And you're seeing the effects of that hard border with the Canadians, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Edmonton, man, you got the two leading scorers in the NHL. 14 points for Draisaitl. No, I'm sorry, for McDavid. 13 for Draisaitl. Draisaitl, I believe, leads in goals. And you're 3-6. And this is part and parcel of
embarrassing.
Edmonton Oilers, because you're a two-trick pony at this point. You don't have goaltending. You don't have any secondary scoring. This is if I was a Edmonton Oiler fan, I would be tearing my hair out right now. I mean, and to an extent, I go through this with Buffalo that you can't be this bad this long. Uh, I will submit that Edmonton has had even more favor when it comes to being bad for so long and getting the benefit of that top draft choice several times over and not doing anything with it. I don't think Darnell Nurse is a great defensive player. I I I just don't know what this team is doing.
That team doesn't know what they're doing either. And I feel so bad for some of the young talent on Edmonton too, because you've got guys like McDavid, Ethan Bear, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, guys that would absolutely thrive anywhere else in the league. They would be star players, and in Edmonton, they are waiting to die.
Yeah, yeah. They're collecting paychecks basically, and
I think that Ethan Bear is 100% on par with guys like Miro Heiskanen and Cale Makar, and you're not going to get to see it until he gets out of Edmonton.
yeah, exactly. So let's talk about. We're going to do a feature this week. We're going to talk about our hot player or team in each division, and not hot player and team in each division. For the North Division, who do you have as the hot player, or hot team in that division?
Man, hot right now is Nick Suzuki.
Yeah,
This kid is popping off. I cannot wait to see what Nick Suzuki is going to do in this league.
yeah,
He had a kind of rough start. It was looking like he was just going to kind of fall in line as a third line wing, not really doing it. No, this is absolute superstar potential. He looks like Timo Solana out there. It's amazing. Love it. What about you?
Well, I mean, you can't go. I mean, for a team that bad, I call it Leon McDavid. I mean, it's those two dudes are they're joined at the hip, and they produce. No matter how bad the team is, they produce. That's 27 points right there between the two dudes, and you're talking about what 9 games?
Yeah.
That's three points a game.
Yeah, they're bumping for sure.
In for two players, which again, as if you're the owner of the Edmonton Oilers, like, what are you thinking? You got 3 points just banked when you take the ice. If you can bring anything else in that at least start building a defensive core. Something. Ethan Bear is great, but they've invested heavily in Darnell Nurse, and I just don't think he's that all that great. And maybe it is the system, maybe it's the coaching. I don't know, but this is a multi-year issue with Edmonton.
Nurse is a great second pair defenseman.
Yeah.
He is not the star defenseman.
I think if I had to compare him to somebody, it would be on my Sabres, Rasmus Ristolainen. He's a great second pair defenseman. Unfortunately, the Sabres have saw fit to give him 25 minutes a night in the past few years. I think they've cut back his time this year, and think it's benefited him. I think he's looked a lot better this year than he has in past years because he is not the dude that's on the ice all the time. So, they're trusting the other defensive players on the team. They're doing better. So I'm happy to see that. Let's take a look at so not hot for me. Not hot is Edmonton. It's crazy. You can have the hot players, but the team is just I mean, I'd pick on Ottawa, but this is where we thought they would be.
Right. Yeah. Ottawa is living up to their potential, with the exception of Tim Stützle.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's Ottawa, man. This isn't 0506. We knew where they would be this year. So
yeah, exactly.
Chabot looks good.
And a nice start. First couple games, but have really struggled. They got lit up by Vancouver this week, who look a little bit better than they did the prior week when they were getting lit up by Montreal. So who's your not hot player?
My not is one of the funniest things that I've seen in the National Hockey League. Jake Muzzin into the game, little puck flip. He absolutely just hammered the big red button of Brady Tkachuk.
Matthew Tkachuk.
Or Matthew Tkachuk, sorry.
Yeah. Too many Tkachuks in the league, yeah.
They're the same. I don't need to say what happened. He threw a temper tantrum. I think that the only thing he was short of was Keith Tkachuk dragging him to the bathroom to spank him before they went back to shower. And honestly, do you know how much money I would pay right now to see what Keith's face looked like watching this game on TV?
Yeah.
Because it's not that's my boy. Do you watch it? Do you turn it off? What did he do here?
I don't know, man. That's my moment. I would have been like, what are you doing, man?
For all the potential that the Tkachuk boys have, by far should be the most hated man in Canada right now because he just made your entire country look like bad. Yeah, that was bad.
I can't remember because technically, Tkachuk was an American, so yeah, his kids are American. So maybe they can just blame it on us. I don't know.
I would blame it on anybody. I would try my best to get out of that. That was embarrassing for me to watch.
Yeah, it was not a great moment in hockey.
I was burying my own head because this is my sport. That's how deep that one cut.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a great moment in hockey. Will not be any highlight reels this year.
And I guess I understand the frustration. I mean, the game did go on. That one went to a shootout, right?
No, that was the end of the game. It was a 4-3 Toronto victory. Calgary's pressing in the last minute, but couldn't beat Anderson. And
is this frustration?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they're sixth place in a 7-team division, and they were kind of one of those teams that were tipped to take one of those four spots. Now they're only 5 points out of the playoffs in this division, but the longer you go in the season, and they've only played 6 games, so it's not like they have some real estate to make up.
Right, but the last time we saw a meltdown like this, Britney Spears shaved her head. I mean, this is like Lindsay Lohan getting arrested all over again. This is what a diva. Marchand is not destined to be the joke of the league for very long. Matthew is coming up quick.
Yeah.
This is worse than Marchand licking a dude by far.
Oh, I don't know. That's still kind of.
I think
when we say Marchand licking a dude, I still get kind of like,
what do our viewers think? What's the pick right now? Which one's worse, Marchand licking a guy or Tkachuk laying face down, hammering his fists and screaming? And he slammed the door on Giordano. He almost got Giordano's hand in the door.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he'd have put him out for a few games?
That's almost on the level of remember a few years ago, I think it was Ed Jovanovski who swung his stick after a goal and clipped Roberto Luongo in the back of the head. Or it wasn't Luongo, it was the backup for
Pekka Pecorine in a practice had broken a stick over the net and hit Roman Yossi in the neck, I think, and like
Oh
cut
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
neck.
Yeah, I mean, great moments in fragging your own players.
I guess we get one of these every year, but for this one to get as much publicity as it did, this is drama hockey at its best, man.
I think what you'll see is that what you would have seen is if he had actually caught Giordano and broke his hand or something along those lines, that would Now you're talking. We're getting into that level with Brad Marchand or Chris Neal biting players. Those type of things, which are you don't do that stuff, especially if you've ever smelled hockey equipment like a hockey glove, and you bite into that. No, smelling hockey equipment. Like I used to go to the Atlanta Thrashers preseason.
You're going to need to make this better real quick, Dave. All I've got so far is you're sniffing hockey equipment. It doesn't look good.
No, so like a player comes off the ice and you ask for an autograph, they take their glove off.
Yeah, you get that whiff.
Oh man, you catch a whiff, and you're like, oh. So when I see players do the little face wash on the ice, I'm like, dude, that's wrong. Don't do that. All right, so let's move on to the Mass Mutual. Oh God, I used the sponsorship. I'm embarrassed. The East Division.
Point against Dave.
Yeah. So the East Division, the Group of Death. Let's see. Washington's leading. No surprise there. I mean, they haven't lost a regulation game. They had 3 overtime losses, 1 against Buffalo and 2 against Pittsburgh. But they're racking up points, and that comeback against. I mean, to me, that was as impressive as that they came back, but it was against who they came back on. That was amazing to me because that's a Barry Trotz coach defensive team, and they dropped a 5 spot on them in the second period and won the game 6-3. But when I saw the score the other night because I was watching the Buffalo Rangers game, I saw 3-0 Islander. I was like, oh well, that game's over. And then I looked at the score again in the second intermission of the Buffalo game, and I was like, what? They're leading?
Impressive game. I mean, it was a really solid. As long as you don't watch that first period was awful.
Yeah, and again, that was without Ovechkin on Orlov and Burakovsky and Samsonov, and you 4 year top players. Samsonov is. Well, I mean, he was the starter. Vanacek has done really well. Maybe that kind of upsets the apple cart with as far as goaltending goes in Washington, but amazing start for Washington so far. And they are the class of the league, and they're the class of the division. Boston, man, that start 5-1-1. I mean, I know we've talked about them, looking old, and they were kind of hanging on in those games early in the season. But tonight, you get David Pastrnak back. Now you've got, that pasta line with Bergeron and Marchand is going to, that it was a scary line with just Marchand and Bergeron.
Yeah. Well, and as much crap as I talk on Marchand, the chemistry that line has.
Oh, it's amazing.
All 3 of those pieces are absolutely vital to what they do.
Yeah.
They work together so well. I mean, it looks like your French Connection. They've got that same.
They're dangerous every time they step on the ice, and it's crazy to see that. Philadelphia, they've won 2 in a row, so they had a little bit of a blip, after getting off to that really fast start against Pittsburgh. The first 2 games, they had a little bit of a blip in their schedule. Buffalo dropped a 6th spot on them one night. And, they're doing okay. Again, this is a team that I'm not surprised is sitting in this position. Philadelphia, 11 points, 8 games in. But look at that, number 4. I didn't think I would see this team in a playoff position.
Congrats.
Perhaps at any point in this season. But they got past the double-digit point total. Now they played more games than anybody else in the division. They're at 9 games with the game they played today. We'll see what it looks like at the end of tonight. I know Pittsburgh is playing this evening, could pass them. Boy, look at that Islanders team, though. Well, look at both New York teams.
Yeah, there's a big surprise here. The Islanders, I didn't have them pegged to go all out. I kind of thought that our top 3 would be somewhere in the realm of where it is. I really like Philly this year. The Islanders at 1 up from the bottom is extremely surprising.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on here. You got guys like Jordan Eberle not performing at all.
Yeah.
And it's really, what changed? And also with New York, we did see Lafreniere's first goal in the league. He put on his weird little German hat, and he looked like he should have been in Lederhosen. It was very confusing. But, we're not getting anything from Panarin at all. Zibanejad is trying. These guys just don't look like they're playing NHL hockey right now. There's no chemistry between lines. Even their line changes are so rough. Their line changes look like men's league changes. They don't know what's going on.
Watching the 2 games against Buffalo this week, the first game, they looked like a team that was all out of sorts. That second game, boy, they played a physical brand of hockey that game. They if not for Linus Ullmark, that game would have been probably 6-1. They had tremendous chances. They cycled the zone. Buffalo couldn't get the puck off of them. It was just 2 fluke goals on Shesterkin. And while we're talking about that, Shesterkin is one of my not hot players in the East Division. Shesterkin is at let's see, 894 save percentage, which is putrid. But he's New York is not giving up a lot of shots because they don't have a whole lot of goals against. I mean, it's just 20.
But their goal percentage is so bad.
Yeah. So, and that's just it's not good enough, and that's that to me that's just inexcusable. That Shesterkin just looks that bad, and they keep running out with him. And I know that you need to switch in and out your goaltenders, and this kid may be the future of the franchise, but. Georgiev didn't look bad in his starts.
He didn't look good either.
He didn't look good. I mean, that's an issue. Keandre Miller is a great defensive prospect, and Adam Fox is a great defensive prospect. I just don't know that they're defensive at this point. Keandre Miller can take the body. I mean, he was running all over the Sabres.
I think that's what you're seeing with the Rangers right now too. That physical brand of hockey. That's all individual frustration. That's guys that are trying to figure out where their team is, what's going on, and they're just getting mad and they're putting it out there. And that's how you get injuries. That's why I think this year you're going to see so many more injuries than you typically would. You've got these guys that are getting really upset. They're getting really upset with their own team. They're getting really upset with the other team. You're starting to get animosity between teams.
Yeah, you're playing back-to-back, and you're playing traditional rivals in a lot of these.
There's no cool-down period. It's just I'm mad at you, and I'm still mad at you tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm going to hurt you.
Well, I mean, if I'm the Rangers, the lesson I take from the Buffalo game is that physical hockey led to great zone time. It did not lead to goals. I mean, they only scored 2 in the game, and they got the winner in overtime for Lafreniere. But it's not. It will eventually start leading to goals. You just can't keep guys like Panarin and Zibanejad. Lafreniere is going to start scoring. Maybe not. He's not going to be like a 30-goal guy in the season. He's going to get 10, 15 goals, which
is reasonable and understandable expectation of a rookie as young as he is, as experienced as he is.
Same with Kakko. Kakko, I'm surprised he's not produced kind of the way. He stepped up his production this year, but hopefully he starts getting better for this team. But this team looks like an entire team of players squeezing their stick right now, and it's just maybe at some point they break out, and maybe it just completely falls apart. And they, it's New York. The media, even without the fans in the building, the media is going to be all over them. If we're talking at this point next week, and the Rangers are still in eighth, and there's 2 or 3 wins, uh, there's going to be calls. That seat for Coach Quinn is going to get very, very hot.
Yeah.
Um,
My hot for this week, by
yeah.
far, is the Washington Capitals. God, I hate to say that.
Uh-huh.
It's the Washington Capitals, but not the Capitals that we're used to. I'm talking the Capitals without the Russian collusion.
Yeah.
The Capitals without Ovi is a absolute terror on the minds of Caps fans everywhere. The fact that one day he's not going to be there. If this is a team you get without Ovechkin, you're still going to be number one in your division. I mean,
that effort every night. That third line was amazing.
Everybody was amazing. Everybody meshed well. Everybody acted like they wanted to be there, and they looked like a well-practiced, well-oiled team. And that's just not something that you'd expect to see without, two and a half star players.
Well, I wouldn't have expected to see it last year with Todd Reardon behind the bench. He looked like Kevin from The Office to me. But Peter Laviolette's a quality coach, and I put a lot of that on him, that Washington didn't fold, and on the players, and the fact that they took it upon themselves. They wanted to prove that this team could withstand a few days without Ovi, a few days without Samsonov. We'll see what happens now that they come back, because sometimes when you get that star player back from injury, everyone else takes the night off. So we'll see if the Caps take a step back against Boston. It's a quality opponent, and I wouldn't be surprised, but that might happen.
Well, and Washington didn't just survive. I mean, Washington thrived.
Yeah.
And that really was totally unexpected for me. I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah. I was thinking Washington was definitely a playoff team in this division. I didn't have them that high. In fact, I'm starting to regret the whole Islanders pick. I was feeling pretty good about them. They got tough around, of course, but boy,
called
it. Let's. So my hot team was Washington as well. That whole, it was a team effort this week, and quite well done for the Washington Capitals, especially that comeback victory against the Islanders. Let's go ahead and move on to.
Oh, we still have our not for the.
Not. Well, I did Shesterkin. I actually have 2 for this division. Igor Shesterkin, 894 save percentage. His goals against average is not bad. It's like 2.9 or something like that. So a little under 3, but it's so he's not giving up a lot of goals, but he's not facing a lot of shots, but the shots he's facing, he's letting in. So, and then Jeff Skinner, $9 million in Buffalo, $9 million a season. We are 9 games into the season, and he's got 1 point. And
it must be hard for you.
It is very hard. Now, it's kind of frustrating in that Coach Kruger has put him on the 4th line. I don't know what's going on in the locker room with Skinner. I don't know why he is he's been the punching bag with his team, and that he's playing on the 4th line. But the last couple, and people could say, well, he's only got 1 point because he's on a team with the grinders. Yeah, but the last 2 games, he's been moved up to the first line. Still nothing. I mean, and he's taking just horribly dumb penalties. Back-to-back games he's done. These delay of game penalties. You're like, what are you doing? Like, he had a clear out to send it right up the middle, and he dumps it dumps it over the glass. So we're talking about a guy who's not producing, and he's getting dumb penalties. So I think once Sam Reinhart is back, he'll just go right back down to the fourth line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's proven he doesn't have a place on the first.
What's that?
He's proven that he does not have a place on the first. If anything, this is going to work against him hard.
Yeah. Well, that was my hope, was like, because he's still flying. I'm like, he still has great wheels. He is just not burying anything, and he's had his chances. But even with not playing with guys like Tobias Reeder and Kyle Poso, he's still just not getting. And good God, you're talking about 15 million on your fourth line when you have Jeff Skinner and Kyle Poso out there. But hey,
it feels more like a buyout than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's sad. I don't know. I think as we get closer to the end of the season, if Buffalo's out of it, you'll see them move him up the line to perhaps showcase him to see if Seattle can take him in the expansion draft. Seattle will need to get their uh, get up to the certain contract level, so that he would certainly help with that. And maybe that change of scenery will help him. But
Yeah, I mean, he could do what Mark Stone did. Mark
yeah,
Stone going from Ottawa to Vegas, and then look at him. Then he showed up.
yeah. I mean, it was that was that bad year for Ottawa coming out of the Stanley Cup contention year, and yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Skinner. Maybe he turns it on, and maybe he starts scoring again. But this first 9 games has not been. This is not definitely not. Well, this 9 games in the last season have not been anything I would put on the highlight reel for the guy. All right, so let's. Wait a minute. Did you do your not player?
Yeah. It's just the point percentage for the Rangers. I don't need to say anything else. They speak for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. West Division. Vegas is leading the way with 11 points. Colorado is in second with 10 points. Not a real surprise there. I mean, Vegas is a quality team. Colorado, it's a team that's showing that it can turn it on and turn it off. They'll have like really really great games, like when they drop the 8 spot on St. Louis. But then they do have nights where it kind of seems like they take it off a little bit. But you still got guys like Cale Makar, who's leading defense assists. The kid's just a stud, man. Anything standing out in this division for you?
Yeah, several things. I'm very confused with Colorado with the lack of performance on behalf of Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
This is a guy that everybody had pegged to start out the year and just fly. So far, we've got him at 2 goals on the year. Trying to pull up here.
He's like 10 points though, right?
Yeah, 10 points. I mean, his line's performing. Rantanen, actually, at 6 goals, is one of the top in the league by far. Congrats, Dave.
Yeah, got him on fantasy.
Yeah, still beating you this week. Yeah, man. St. Louis, where I thought they'd be. Minnesota, I kind of had them as a switch for 3rd and 4th. I sort of saw that one going back and forth. Minnesota has a weird hover tendency where they like to hang out in the middle anyway.
Yeah.
So you're never going to see them get to 2nd. You're probably never going to see them get to 6th. But anywhere between there and there is like fair game for them. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Big standout for me is that Los Angeles is contending. That's awesome. They're trying. You don't see a lot of effort out of Los Angeles these days, and the fact that they're putting 4th inning at all is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean they're doing a lot better. And for my hot player in this division, I've got Andrei Kopitar. He's got 12 points in 8 games.
He's carrying a team runner. He literally has the entire team on his back.
That line with Gabe Velarde, it's definitely a very studly line. It's got makings for least maybe the next couple seasons to be a very effective line for them if they can fill in behind that. Will be interesting to see. But yeah, he's got 12 points. He's got 5 multi-point games in 8 played. That's some 1980s Wayne Gretzky type numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's not goals. He's only 1 goal, but he's distributing the puck all over the place. He's leading the league in assists right now. And I think the fact that he's playing with these young players, these young up and coming stars like Gabe Vilardi, only help him. I think it's kind of like a renaissance in his career. Like it's giving him renewed energy.
Yeah, something had to. That was just wasted potential for 2 years.
Yeah. The last 2 years have been kind of. He's a great player. He still produces. It's just the last 2 years it's been wasted effort. And we'll see. I don't think Los Angeles will maintain it. I think as we're seeing with Ottawa, or as we're seeing with Detroit, they're probably going to start filtering back towards the bottom. But
where are they going to go though, realistically? I mean, the only team that they could switch with is Anaheim, really. Arizona, and that's my knot of the week. By far is Arizona. I think that Rick Tocchet is at the end of his rope in Arizona. You've got all the drama going down there, and the Chaka stuff, and the league putting the not suspension, whatever you want to call it, against Chaka. He can't even touch the league for another year until he gets it sorted out. Arizona's talking about charging him. That there's so much weird stuff going on there. I don't see that sorting out this year.
Yeah, the Chika issue was just it's so strange. It just went down at a really awkward time for the Coyotes, and credit to them because they did rally in the bubble and get into the actual playoffs. But the timing was just so horrible for what went on, and Chika. He's out officially until December 31st.
Do you want to explain what happened there?
I only caught bits and pieces of what happened. But it was regarding possible tampering issues. But they lost the draft pick and everything like that.
The thing with Chalker right now is it's an issue that everybody's talking about how bad it is, but nobody will actually say what happened. It's so weird.
I think it's a lot worse than what we, the little stuff that we've been told.
It's like saying lawsuit, but nobody tells you why.
My thought is that he was a young dude, like the youngest GM in NHL history, I believe.
He was,
or one of the youngest in NHL history, and he would make trades. I mean, he was not afraid to make a trade. I just think that at some point his youth and that kind of rock star thing that viewed him. He got a big head over it, and a little bit of hubris, and it led to him doing something that was maybe not illegal, in the law world wise, but definitely illegal when it comes to the NHL. And I'll be interested to see what eventually it's going to come out. We're going to figure out what happened with that. But even if I don't think teams were all clamoring to get at John Chayka after he left the Coyotes, and despite it only being until December 31st, I don't think we're going to see him back in the league in an official capacity. I think you'll see is probably John Chayka, because his whole thing was the analytics. Like that was his boy. The Bruins are all over the Capitals right now.
Yeah. Also, real quick, quick score update for Dallas, Carolina. Martin Neck is behind the net, straight out to Vinny Trocheck. Trocheck drops one in on Kudobin, and that was a sick, great-looking goal.
Oh, okay, all right. But yeah, the Caps are a little scrambly coming out of this into this game. So a couple of decent saves. Is that I think that's Vanacek in nets. I don't think Samsonov has been released yet. Yeah, it is. So Vanacek's man, he's a decent young goaltender. He's Buffalo's lost a few points to the Caps because of him. But anyway, yeah. So Chaika, I just even if he does, they do lift the suspension on him at the end of the year. I don't think a team will touch him, and he'll just kind of go back to that analytics world where he's a hired gun for maybe who knows, maybe a KHL team will take him on. I don't know.
Yeah, he's an outsider now. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
If nothing else, the stigma of the name is enough that no president of one of these teams is going to say, I want the notification to come across on everybody that follows this team's phone saying we hired John Chaika, because they're not going to listen to why we hired him. It's the NHL is going to have to report on it. It's going to be a big thing. Everybody's going to say, oh, Chaika's back in the league. He's working for these guys. And then it's going to, it's going to fall into another deflate gate of Tom Brady. Why did you hire Chaika? What are you trying to get done here?
Yeah, exactly. So my not hot player this week is Eric Carlson, man. It's the same thing as with Jeff Skinner. The guy's making a boatload of money. He does have 3 assists on the season, but the dude's a -8.
It's rough.
That is rough. When you have only played 8 games, you're at a -9 goal differential. So I mean, it kind of shows that that top defensive pairing. Although I will say Brett Burns is doing okay. He's 6 points, 3 and 3, but he's only like a -4. So
yeah, and also Burns right now is my goal of the year pick so far. Did you see that super? Oh, buddy, what a walk! I'll have to send it to you. That was an absolute freak of a goal.
I know you'd said something to me about it. I never took a look at it.
Burns walked 5 guys. It was nuts.
Nice. My hot player in the West. Oh yeah, I did. I told you that it was Andrzej Kopitar. So did you get your hot and not in?
Even if I didn't, my hot by far, I got 2 guys. I got Andrei Burakovsky and Nazem Kadri. Look at these 2 go, man. This looks like exactly where I had Rantanen and McKinnon pegged to be.
Yeah.
This second line is deadly right now. That second line is as scary as the first.
Yeah, and hopefully Kadri keeps it going. He had the penalty issues in Toronto, and if he can keep his game clean and still be that sandpaper player, yeah, he's this is what you're going to come to expect with Kadri, because he had all the talent in the world coming out of junior, and he showed flashes of it in Toronto. He just didn't ever pan out to the point that people thought he would in Toronto because of those penalties and getting stapled to the bench by the coach. We
haven't seen any of the penalty issues in Colorado that we saw there. I mean, he's still, he definitely go Carolina. We got a power play goal. I didn't see who got it.
Oh, wow.
This could turn into an eat real quick. Wait, was it Trocheck again? This is Trocheck, Vinny Trocheck for his second goal of the night.
Don't you have Trocheck?
I do, yeah.
Damn it.
I know. And Svechnikov got the assist.
All right.
Sorry,
that's all right. I'm not surprised.
Speaking of Bukkake flying seaman. Anyway.
All right, let's move on to the final division. Let's go into the Central Division. Columbus is leading this division, but Of course, you look at Dallas. Dallas has only played 4 games. They're 4-0. Maybe getting that first loss tonight, as you said. I bet you're feeling pretty good about that money line pick.
Oh yeah, that was a parlay. I got that parlay at 720.
Nice.
So yeah, right now I'm building a new motorcycle right now, and I feel like I just bought a set of tanks.
Nice. So yeah, playoff position: Columbus, Dallas, Nashville, and Florida. Don't count out Carolina because they're seventh, but they're only played 4 games so far this season, and they're if you went by points percentage, they would be what
Third
third in the division behind Florida and Dallas. So. One of the surprises of this division, and I know we were both high on this guy coming into the season, but Ellis Merzlikins has not looked as good as he did last year. He's struggled a little bit. I mean, I think he's 2-2 on the year, but his save percentage is way down. His goals against average is way down. That Columbus has been able to kind of maintain in this. They're a little bit above NHL 500 right now, but that they've been able to maintain with Merzlikins not looking all that great has gives them hope for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm really hoping with Elvis right now we don't see him fall to the wayside like Carter Hart and Jordan Bennington. They had a superstar playoff or a superstar year. And then they didn't get bad. They just didn't stay good.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, and when you have that kind of start, the expectations, and I'm not, writing off Hart. I think Hart can definitely, turn his game around. Bennington, man, the way he lost last year, I was like, that kind of reminded me of Byron Defoe in Boston. Carter Hart, I think he's got a decent team in front of him. They just had a little bit of a blip. They've put a couple of wins together. I'm not too worried about it yet.
But a very young team, with the exception of Giroux. It's pretty much all like first 4-year guys. They don't have any adult presence.
Yeah, yeah. But Columbus is maintaining they're putting away points, and that's really the key to the season right now is just put away as many points. So if you're you lose like they are, they've lost 3 in overtime, but they get that loser point, and that's going to help at the end of the season. Because you're playing all division games. Even if you lose a game, you still get a point out of it. It keeps you within hailing distance. So if you do go on a run at some point in the season, you're not making up several losses from earlier in the season. But Tampa's at 3-1-1. They lost a couple of games to this whole COVID stuff. So I think they were supposed to play Carolina and lost a couple of games there.
I'm glad
they're kind of where I would think they were at 5 games. The 3-1-1. It's a decent start. We'll see how they come out of the COVID protocols and or not. Well, the COVID protocols were not because of them, but because of Carolina. How they come out of that break, that extended break, if that screws with them. Speaking of COVID protocols, the Chicago Blackhawks have canceled practice. This will mark the 3rd team in this division to have COVID issues. If Chicago is forced to cancel any games coming up, they haven't canceled any games yet, but they cancel practice. That's usually a prelude to an announcement that they're like 2 or 3 players or 2 or 3 coaches have tested positive, and they're going to take a 2 or 4 day break.
Yeah, we actually had them slated to play Columbus tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll see if that goes off. I don't know.
And this division is so messed up right now to look at. Because if you've watched any of the games with any of these teams, to have Nashville slated as number 3 shows that there's an obvious no adjustment for the loss of games and the loss of everything else.
We can change it. This makes more sense. This
Yeah,
is
looks right.
the points percentage, and like I said, with this division, I'm almost banking on this being a division that does not get all 56 games for all 8 teams in. Um,
Yeah, this is a much more realistic look.
yeah, hey, kudos to Florida for getting off to a decent start in their 4 games. Carolina looking strong. Tampa, you know, they look strong. Columbus, Nashville, Detroit's where we thought they would be. They had a decent start to begin the season. They went 2-2 in the first 4 games, but have lost uh, like 5 games or 4 games in a row. Well, no, they've lost 1 game in a row. But they had an overtime loss and that other loss. But it's Detroit's where we thought they would be. Same with Chicago. Chicago's where we thought they would be. That point percentage of 389, 313. Not a surprise there.
Yeah, if you'd have fallen asleep in 2010, this would be the scariest thing in the world to wake up to. But it's been a continual downhill slide.
Yeah, exactly. So my hot team for this division, or hot players for this division, hot player Joe Pavelski. Basically, it's Dallas, but Joe Pavelski has got in 4 games, he's got 9 points. And this guy is tearing it up. And then Anton Khudobin has a point. Well, until this game, had a .99 goals against average in his starts. Dallas and Carolina are going to battle to the end on this division. Oh, what happened?
Oh, I don't know who that was, but that was a nasty, nasty, bad late hit.
Uh-oh.
Corneau from Dallas, I don't even know who this guy is, just laid the hammer on a bad sideways hit from somebody from Carolina. I didn't catch a number.
Okay.
Dallas is getting very upset very quickly, and this game has went past physical into just straight pissed off aggression. You're going to see at least one big injury this game. It's undeniable.
Or a fight. Maybe a fight settles it down. I don't know.
But this is actually kind of hard to watch. It's just late hit after late hit. They can't call them. Everybody'd be sitting in the box.
Well, they got to. I mean, if you don't call a penalty, and if you load the box up in the first period, maybe the coach will take the corrective action in the intermission to say, calm it down and get some discipline.
Dallas right now is playing the exact same game that Philadelphia was in '73. It looks like
Rod Steve nice.
Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to get slashed across the face.
Let's go full slap shot here.
Seriously, man, it looks like the Hanson brothers are out. I don't know which line this is, but geez, I'm glad I'm not up against them.
So Boston and Caps are still scoreless with about 6:40 left in the first period. So my not hot player in the Western Division, I'm sorry, Central Division. Used to Dallas being out west, but Detroit, and I hate to pick on them. This is kind of where we thought they would be, 2-5-1. But they just haven't looked good. They got Chicago took their 2 regulation wins against them. Can't remember the rookie's name, but got a hat trick against Detroit. He's not really a rookie per se because he came over from the Swiss league, but his only 3 goals of the year came in this one game last Sunday, which was the game that I was railing on that should not have been the national NBC game, Chicago versus Detroit. And this right here at the bottom here tells you why that should not have been a national game. You don't want to introduce new hockey fans to that.
I actually watched that.
13.
Did you watch that game?
I watched a little bit of it, and I was just like,
That game had the childish appeal of a high school football game. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. that game looked like you knew what you were getting into.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be an absolute crapshoot. It was just what you'd expect from a high school football game. It was drop passes. It was bad, soapy goals. It was just,
Yeah.
it had, it felt like I was watching a minor league game. And I'm not.
Oh, the kid who got the hat trick was Pius Suter, not the Sutter playing family, but young player from Switzerland.
Yeah, it was a good matchup because I knew what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was in high school. I would say maybe a college game in that that's the level of play that you would see in a college game. That it was okay. I mean, it's hockey. I'll watch anything with hockey in it, but for that to be the national game of the week, I thought was just an absolute mistake.
Yeah.
Just because, just based on market size.
Yeah, the damage control as far as the actual watchability of the game, at least it was an even matchup. If it would have been like Carolina and Chicago,
oh yeah, like the first night of the season where the first national broadcast game was Tampa versus Chicago.
Yeah,
I mean that was a hard one to watch because it just showed you how far Chicago had fallen.
I just felt bad.
Yeah,
it was embarrassing for me.
So who you're hot and not in Central Division?
I was gonna say Dallas is my hot. I mean, they're really on a win streak. I'm revoking that. I'm making a last minute off the cuff here.
Change it.
Hot right now is Vinny Trocheck.
Yeah.
I mean, not just Trocheck, but Carolina in general. These guys look really solid. They look really solid against the only other team in the division that I would have put up as being a serious threat to them as far as playoffs go. Florida right now is just a fluke. I don't think that Florida's going to stay where they're at all.
Well, they got their points off of Columbus and Chicago, right?
Yeah, and Columbus let in everything, and Chicago. Does Chicago have a goaltender, or do they just have like a Zamboni driver dressed as one?
Couldn't be any worse. So actually, their guy that comes on the ice is an accountant for the team.
Yeah, Scott Foster. I actually have his Young Gun card. Upper Deck was nice enough to make Scott Foster and David Ayers our two E-Bugs Young Gun cards, and I've got one of each.
Nice.
I actually met Scott Foster in Chicago. Really, really cool guy. I stopped by his accountant
or something like that, and every once in a while when they have because he
does signings. He actually does signings. Like people want his autograph. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not? I mean, the guy comes in and throws a that one period he throws a shutout. David Ayers he got beat too early on 2 goals when he played for Carolina that one game, but was able to hold the fort down the stretch. That
game was the best defensive hockey I've ever seen from a skate side of the team.
Yeah,
they defended the golie so well they deserved a trophy for it.
Yeah, exactly. But Scott Foster, they I don't think they could do any worse if they put him in nets. Malcolm Subban,
we need an accountant.
Subban is just not. He's not an NHL goaltender. He's always had that potential, and I think part of it is because he's PK's brother, and there's that assumption that brothers are one brother is a good player, the other brother is a good player. He's just never been able to, and this is his opportunity to take the reins of a team. And
he's not.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sieve, and we'll see what happens with him. They have a comment. My Bruins playing against our former captain. I might cry a little. That was from Yannick Lewis. I understand when you
I feel that.
when one of your favorite players comes back to play your team. It's tough, and as a Sabre fan, I've had that happen many times in my life.
I actually was in Pittsburgh last year for the return of Kessel.
Oh wow!
I'd done a little road trip. I followed Arizona whenever they played Columbus, Philadelphia, and then Pittsburgh was the last stop. And we lost 2-0. And I was wearing a Kessel, Arizona jersey I bought specifically for that game just to see if I'd get beat up outside of PPG.
It's Pittsburgh. It's not Philly. Philadelphia, you would have beaten up in your car destroyed.
Philly, I actually bought all the kids in my section pucks, so their dads would walk me to my Uber.
Oh, nice.
And it worked, and nobody touched me. We beat Philly on that one, but no, I definitely get that, man. I feel you. I watched Kessel come back to Pittsburgh, and I kind of cried a little bit with him.
Yeah,
and he really just fluked his contract with us and bid us in for an entire year of points on that money, and then we cried a little on our own, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. For me, it was Danny Briere and Chris Drury on my birthday. On my birthday, July 1st, night, 2007, they both deuce out. They're like, no, we're going to take contracts elsewhere. That was my worst birthday. Was watching both of them just deuce out, and then later that day, Edmonton did they did that contract, the restricted free agent contract to Thomas Vanek, which caused us to sign him for, a little. Vanek was always a great player, but it was just, at that point was probably a little more than he should have gotten. That was a difficult birthday. And then watching Drury come back. Now Drury never. We have a goal in the Washington game. Washington just tallied. Looks like was that Backstrom, I believe. Backstrom with a laser of shot on Tuukka Rask.
Yeah. Also around the league, real quick, we've got Oilers up 1-0 on the Maple Leafs, still in the first. Penguins and Rangers are first. Flyers are up.
What was that Pittsburgh game?
Pittsburgh Rangers. It's 2:43 in the first, and it's tied 1-1.
Okay.
Rangers have got 13 shots on goal, which is a lot of shots for a team that can't connect. So congrats to them.
Yeah.
We've got Flyers and Islanders. Flyers up 2-0. 2:56 left in the first, and the Owls are on a power play. Of course, Kane Stars. Thank you, Trocheck. 2-0. Preds Lightning are still 0-0. Panthers, Red Wings, 1-1. I think this is where we're going to see the Red Wings show us that the Panthers aren't actually as potential field as we would like them to be this year. And Flames are up 1-0. Canadians. Johnny Gaudreau has got the one for Calgary. Good for Johnny Hockey.
Yeah.
Johnny Hockey deserves better.
Well, at least he isn't throwing temper tantrums on the ice.
Yeah, seriously.
I was waiting to get a total on the goal call there, but Backstrom got the goal. I don't know who got the assists on that one.
Backstrom unassisted.
Was it unassisted? That might change because I thought he got a pass in that sent him into the zone, but that's not either way. But
good for him.
Yeah,
Bruins have doubled over and a little on the Capitals for shots on goal as well.
Oh yeah, the Bruins were running this game. They've been running this game pretty much. Bruins going to the power play, 2-minute minor to Ponick for a hooking. But yeah, that's a the Bruins look good, and this power play may deal them back into it. They just have not converted yet. And like I said, sometimes when you get that big player back from injury, that you maybe take the foot off the gas that you had, and think that they're going to make you that much better if you take your foot off the gas. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Boston. They've got good zone time in this power play. All right, so let's talk about some news and stories across the league this week. I think the big news for me was Jim Rutherford stepping down abruptly on Thursday as the GM of Wednesday as GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and came out that somebody's down for the Caps. Chara
Oh no!
It looks like he caught a puck in the face or a stick in the
Oh,
face. Um,
hopefully, Jeremy Roenick his jaw off.
uh,
Is he getting up?
yeah, he's getting up. I don't see. I from my angle on my TV, I can't see if he was bleeding or not. But yeah, he took. Yeah, it was a Pasternak shot off his stick and into his nose.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's rough. And he's going down the tunnel. So I don't know if that knocked around the noggin a little bit or not, or just needs some some
Come
work
back.
on the chiclets and or nose. I don't know. But yeah, Jimmy Rutherford steps down abruptly. Immediately, speculation was, perhaps there was a health issue. He's one of the older GMs in the league, and maybe he was getting tired of dealing with the COVID protocols. He actually sent out fairly quickly afterwards that he was feeling fine. That wasn't a health issue or anything like that. And we saw rumors that what led to him leaving was there was a deal in place for Chris Letang to be moved out of Pittsburgh. Apparently, ownership of the team nixed the trade, and that is what led to Rutherford stepping down. Which I get. I understand if you're GM and you want to make a trade to make your team better, or in this case, I think there's a difference of philosophy. I think Rutherford sees the writing on the wall with the Pittsburgh Penguins, in that Pittsburgh is now they're on the backside. They're a team that has good parts, but are not in that level to compete for the Stanley Cup. And I think the ownership still thinks that there's a season or two left. And I'm sure that Rutherford is looking at teams like Chicago and saying, they wasted their opportunity to get rid of these players while they still had value, and now they're paying the price. They're gonna have to trade away their only player of real value to get anything to accelerate their rebuild. Um, but I forgot about Letang. I think Letang, yeah, definitely gives you some value, but it does signal that you're in, you're moving from contending mode to rebuild mode. I would like to have seen who the partner was and what they were, what that other piece coming back was. If it was, a stay at home type defenseman, or maybe another scoring forward. I don't know, but I think there was an idea that, hey, let's start getting value for these guys. Let's talk about moving Letang. Let's talk about moving Malkin. It'll be very hard to move a guy like Sidney Crosby.
You couldn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could. I mean, I think
Fan base completely against you, and I don't think Lemieux would let them.
yeah, I mean, to me, I mean, like,
I think that Lemieux would rather buy Crosby's ticket out of his own pocket and
sure.
keep him in Pittsburgh than to move him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I look at it this way. I compare this kind of generationally, that between Malkin and Crosby, it's like Lemieux and Yager.
Yeah, exactly.
Malkin is the guy that you move because he's not the the babyface kid that everyone loves in Pittsburgh. Now, Malkin is very popular in Pittsburgh, as Yager was very popular in Pittsburgh.
Anybody in Pittsburgh that would be surprised if Malkin got moved?
No, I don't think there would be.
I think Crosby would be the biggest upset since Gretzky in '82.
Sure. I mean, the only way you can move Crosby at this point is if he doesn't get a contract renewal, and I think he's under contract for another 5 or 6 years or something like that. So
I think Crosby will be ready to retire.
Yeah,
whenever he. So, but Rutherford comes from a school of thought where, it's he has an advanced understanding of the league for sure.
Oh, he does. I mean,
take the emotion out of it. There's only two things that a team in this league can do.
Mhm.
They're either getting better or they're getting worse. Rutherford looked at that team and he said, this team is not getting better. They're getting old. And he tried to make some moves that would, help negate that and try to get them back into a contingent position.
Sure.
And you've got too many Pittsburgh's a very emotionally attached town. Pittsburgh has a history of dynasty players. They hate to move guys. You have more retirees in Pittsburgh than you do big trades out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if it's just because people were scared to buy a second jersey. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? But you don't see guys leave Pittsburgh. It's just not a thing.
Sure.
I think that ownership has that same thought process as the city itself does.
Yeah, absolutely. So my thought is that Rutherford also sees that over the last several years, he has, he's been willing to trade that first round pick, trade whatever to bring in that piece that he thinks will compete to allow Pittsburgh to compete for the Stanley Cup. Like, he brought in last year, he brought in Patrick Marleau, and he brought in, didn't he have Trocheck for a little bit?
Trocheck went straight from Florida to.
Who did he get from Florida? Anyway, but he's always been willing to deal that first round pick to get a piece to compete because yes, that window was wide open for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think he's realized that after 6 or 7 years of not having a first round pick, that being a competing team, even if he had his first round pick, that would have been like 25th, 28th, 30th pick in the draft. But he realizes that he just doesn't have that covered. Now, they've been very lucky and they've been able to supplement with players from like American colleges that weren't drafted, like guys like Jake Gensel and Brian Rust. I mean, those guys that they hit late on, but or were able to pull from U.S. colleges. But that's not sustainable. You need to have those blue chip prospects to filter into your system to keep it going, and they just don't have that. And I think he was very prescient. I think when we get to the end of the season, and I'm not sold on the Penguins. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs in this division. I think there are other teams that are going to supplant them.
If the Penguins make the playoffs in this division, they're a first round exit.
Yeah, I mean they're the dead money in this division, and because they do have, it's just an aging core. It's a average to middling rest of the lineup, and they don't have anything in that farm system right now. Any prospects that they were like, all right, we're waiting for this guy to develop to bring him in. We heard that for years about Sprong, but they ended up moving him because they just that there was no faith in that dude. So there really is nothing in the Pittsburgh cover that they can be excited about coming and not replacing Crosby, but supplementing Crosby. Maybe being a winger on his line. There's just nothing there. So I think when we see this a couple of years from now, we're going to think that Rutherford was very prescient in understanding that this team has the window is closed. That's still a talented team, but the window is closed. And now we got to go to, we need to bring in the next generation of picks, and start that rebuild process. And with Pittsburgh, it's going to have to be a rebuild process because they just have stripped the cupboard so long that it's going to end up being a rebuild rather than just tweak here, tweak there, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're seeing original six fallout. It's you got teams like Detroit, you got the Red Wings. They're awful. They look awful. Chicago's awful. They look awful. The Rangers can't get anything together. Of course, Pittsburgh is an original 16, but I'm throwing them in that vicinity. They're 67 expansion, but
yeah, next six.
Yeah, I mean, this is old money. Everybody right now that's in the cycle that's falling down. You've got.
Yeah, I mean, the only ones that are doing indecent is Toronto and Montreal, and they're just going to beat each other up this year.
They're dominating a division that doesn't have any other contenders in it.
True.
They're dominating the underling. The teams that are in like Winnipeg, man. The only thing keeping Winnipeg afloat, it's in Canada. They have a cool logo. That's what keeps Winnipeg in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Vancouver is good.
Rip Thrashers.
Yeah, right.
Pour
Thanks for the first Winnipeg team. Go Yotes. No, no, but it's Pittsburgh can't get a handle on it, and it's a shame because Pittsburgh is on a dead track to end up in the same position as Detroit and Chicago. They're going to have one or two young guys that have some potential, and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with when you have a team that excels for so long, is knowing when to say goodbye. And like the Detroit did it for so long because they were they didn't hold on to those. There was like one or two players that they held on to, but they're quite comfortable bringing players in and out to supplement that roster. Um, Pittsburgh has held on to that roster for too long. Chicago held on to their roster for too long, uh, and they're going to pay the price for a few years. Um, so I don't know. Let's take a look at the scores. Oilers up 2-1 at just before the end of the first period. We had goals from Cahoon, who the Sabres stupidly let go, and Archibald. I don't know who that is. And then William Nylander tallied for the Maple Leafs.
I miss Archibald.
Let's see. Pittsburgh, as we're railing on them, they're up 2-1 on the New York Rangers. Goals by Jason Zucker and Brandon Tanev. It was actually a very good pickup for them. I will say that. Brandon Tanev, he got a raw deal in Vancouver. People hated him in Vancouver. But, that dude's got some sandpaper and he's got some scoring ability. So, and then Brendan Lemieux has tallied for the Rangers. Brendan Lemieux is a young Nazem Kadri. He takes a lot of dumb penalties, and that's going to cost him ice time. 2-0 Flyers. This is just before the start of the second. Goals by Voracek and Hayes. Bruins are on the power play at the end of the first period. That game is still 1-0 with Nicholas Backstrom getting the goal at the 18:06 mark. Still 2-0 Carolina Hurricanes at the end of the first over the Stars. Predators 1-0 over the Lightning. Ryan Ellis with the power play goal towards the end of the first period there.
Yeah, don't get used to that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, we'll see. To me, Nashville is just such a streaky team. Like they'll run, make a decent run of, if they can get their defense and their goaltending on the same page, I think they can make a run.
Nashville has goal.
2-2 with the Red Wings. We got goals from Barkov and Yandel on the Coyotes, or on the Florida Panthers side, and we got
throwback. All right.
We got Mantha and Bertuzzi on the Detroit side. 2-2 heading into the second. 1-0 Flames Canadians as we're at the end of the first there. You brought that goal. That was Johnny Gaudreau early on a power play. And that's the end of the scores. We'll be seeing the start of the Avalanche Wild here in about 6 minutes. But let's talk about some other news that we kind of alluded to tonight. David Pastrnak is back in the lineup. That's a big story for Boston because not only had did they survive, they thrived while Pasta was out. That was a big thing for them to get through that. The first 7 games of the season, they're 5-1-1. Solid effort, and hopefully, well, not for me. I hope they die in a fire because I'm a Sabres fan. But that this will be a turning point for them to really challenge Washington for supremacy in the division. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm still not sold on their defense.
No.
They've had a good run. Will it sustain? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Pasta actually they started him hard too. He's already got 644 time on ice.
Oh yeah. Well, he's the fresh guy. He's the guy that's got all the energy. Hasn't been getting beat up for the last 7 games.
No, I'm surprised. Though. I figured they'd soft start him tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. A guy like that, you want your best players on the ice. I'm not surprised that they've done it. I guess they feel confident that he's ready to go. If they were like, hey, we're starting him and he's like 80%, then yeah, you soft start him. But if you think that he's at 100%, throw him out there.
Which I'm kind of surprised that they didn't throw him out at 80%. Honestly.
Well, I think their start kind of let them have that freedom to let him get to 100% and ready to go.
Yeah, that's true. But I figured they'd have him in as kind of a start him on a crutch type deal since they did have so much going for him right off the get.
Yeah. But they also benefited. I mean, they're only at 7. Well, this is their 8th game, so they haven't quite had the full schedule that some of the other teams have had. Like Buffalo's already at 9 games. Most of the division is going to be at 9 games tonight. Maybe they figured that we have a little bit of a lighter schedule. Let him get 100%. Not have to worry about. We throw him at 80%. And he pushes and gets re-injured. So, I'd rather have him miss the first 7 games of the year and give you 100% the remaining 49 games than have him miss 5 games, not produce the first couple of games because he's still a little bit injured, and then perhaps re-injure himself and lose him for a lot longer. Either way, it's these are the. This is why we don't get paid to be coaches, I guess.
Also, that was Brendan Lemieux's first of the year in the Rangers game. Now, he's actually been up and coming for a while as a pretty big part of that Rangers team.
He was Buffalo Sabres draft pick in the first round. Or no, he was early second round.
Yeah, he's the first pick of the second round.
Yeah, first pick of the second round back, I think the same year Eichel was picked. And
14.
That would have been Reinhardt. Yeah, Reinhardt. Same year Reinhardt was picked. We were excited because he's Claude Lemieux's son. He has that sandpaper.
He acts like Claude Lemieux.
He does. And that was one of the things that we've always kind of wanted, that sandpaper gritty guy on the team. And he got dealt in that Tyler Myers to San Jose or not San Jose, but Winnipeg for Evander Kane. And who did we get besides Evander? Anyway, but that was were the big pieces of Tyler Myers for Evander Kane. And he bounced around Winnipeg, could never make the lineup there, and the Rangers snagged him. And this is a guy that's going to have to learn to temper his sandpaper and being, he should be watching Brad Marchand now versus, Brad Marchand in his early career. Watch what Brad Marchand's doing right now, knowing that's how he needs to help his team rather than running around taking dumb penalties.
Yeah, lick a guy. Get after Brennan. Go lick some dudes.
Yeah, don't lick the dudes. Watch him. During the Cup run against St. Louis. I mean, that was the guy that you want. And the last couple of years, as far as Marchand goes, is that's the kind of guy that you want, that does the things that help your team win, rather than running around taking dumb penalties and putting your team shorthanded.
All right, fine. Don't lick anybody, but do cry if you lose, at least.
Yeah, no, good crying. Yeah, good crying. You lose in the playoffs. Yeah, exactly. But Brendan Lemieux is could be a decent player. He's just got to learn how to temper his game, or he's got to learn how to fight. I don't know. I mean, either one.
Is there a place for it now? You kind of got me thinking. I feel like Ryan Reeves and Evander Kane are the last 2 fighting guys in the league.
Oh no, that was the highlight. I was like, oh shit, they scored again. No, that was the highlight of the Baxter goal. yeah, you know what? I think
And Kane's actually pretty underrated as a scorer. Tom Wilson also
yeah,
is a pretty underrated. You know,
he can
he
toss.
has a long assist.
Yeah, he can toss him. Evander Kane is probably, for his size, is probably the class of the league in fighting. I mean, he is named after Evander Holyfield. Uh, but
Called it.
he that time he one punched Matt Cook in Atlanta. The time with the Sabres where he beat the same dude up 3 times from Florida. The in the same game. He beat the dude up 3 times. That was impressive. Yeah, I think he's the class as far as fighting in the league. Reeves is great. I mean, he's just a side of beef. Um, but yeah, I mean, they do have to have some other abilities. You can't have a John Scott anymore that skates like 3 minutes and takes 5 in penalties for beating up some dude. But I will tell you that people are going to watch what happens with all the rivalry stuff that's been going on this season. And there is going to be a very concerted push to keep these divisions the same.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, especially,
Canada loves it.
Canada loves it. But
I love it. Everyone loves it.
everyone loves it. But here's
And Seattle,
the thing that, yeah,
or Canada, we'll just give them Washington. Actually, you know what? You can have the whole state.
we'll trade Washington, and we'll take Prince Edward Island in return. No, I'd take that trade.
Yeah.
But no, I think with this league, the way it's going, with this season, the way it's going, the teams playing each other like 8, 9 times. I mean, you're not going to see that when we return to a more normal schedule. But I would actually rather have, instead of having, Canadian division playing, the like we have had before, where you play your division 4 times, you play the other division in your conference I'm sorry, 6 times in division, 4 times for the division that is in your conference, and then a home and home against the other division or other conference. I think moving forward, I would rather see you play, uh, upwards of 6 or 8 times against your teams in your division, and you only play home and homes against the other divisions. I think that would keep, because people are going to see the intensity as this season wears on, and you've already seen it with some of your rivalries pick up, but next year, you want to see people you want to see that intensity that we've seen in uh, these games. So
Yeah, we haven't even got to see Calgary and Edmonton yet.
oh, no,
Honestly, I'm looking for that more than like Christmas.
yeah, Toronto, Montreal, 6, 8 times, and somebody in the scheduling was looking at it that Toronto, Montreal play like 4 times heading down the last 2 weeks of the season, and including like the last 2 games. They could immediately roll into a playoff series. Could you imagine the hate that's going to be rolling out of that series?
But especially if they're neck and neck for a spot. Let's say something crazy happens. Vancouver's on top, right? Vancouver's on top, and Winnipeg is somehow second. Toronto and Montreal are 2 points away from each other, and they're fighting to try to figure out that last playoff contention.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's gonna be sick.
Well, TJ Oshie is hurt. I think he took a puck.
It's like the only capital I don't hate.
He's staying on the bench though. He's
Him
done.
and Kuznetsov, actually. I think Cocaine Kuzi's kind of all right.
Koozie.
I'd like to see him on the field.
Yeah. Let's see. Other news this week, Stockton. So we talked last week about how teams are keeping their AHL affiliates close. We've moved several AHL affiliate or teams have moved AHL affiliates closer to home. So like the Western Conference teams have brought them into California. Um, it was announced this week that Stockton Heat, which is the AHL affiliate of the Calgary Flames, is moving temporarily. They're going to play their games in Calgary this season at the Scotiabank Place, uh, which I think every arena in Canada is named after Scotiabank.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But they're playing in Calgary this season just because of the cross border issues. That leaves only two Canadian teams with teams in the United States: Bakersfield for Edmonton and Utica.
Baker's.
Yeah, Bakersfield Condors for Edmonton and Utica, New York, which I never understood why Vancouver's affiliate is in Utica, New York, but they're all the old Utica Devils are now the Canucks, I think is what their name is, and they're still in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised to see those teams also get moved across the border. I just don't see by the end of the season having cross border, and you just can't have your AHL squad, a 2-week quarantine between U.S. and Canada. I think we'll see Vancouver and Edmonton move their teams as well.
Yeah, speaking of affiliate teams, the Henderson Silver Knights have
Yes.
debuted their new uniform. It features a chrome helmet. I am forever calling them the Henderson Disco Ballers. They look like they ripped off Notre Dame's football helmet and spray painted it silver.
Yeah. So let me bring up the screen here. Yeah, there it is. So
Is this a silver helmet?
that's the helmet. It's actually more of a matte gray.
No, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see, I'll send this over to you. You can put it up. It may have been a concept thing then.
It might have been.
What I saw is, yeah, this is so rough.
Yeah, so here are the jerseys. I actually like these jerseys. These are pretty sweet. I like the logo. It does again play off the Army theme that the Golden Knights were the owner of the Golden Knights was big on the Army. In fact, we had to negotiate with the Army for them to use the Golden Knights name when they came out. But I think there's see, this is the helmet that they're showing as the official helmet, which is this matte gray helmet that kind of looks like the U.S. Army football team.
Yeah, very
with those matte gray helmets. I kind of like it.
Their logo is so cool, but for some reason it looks like a World of Warcraft like raid party symbol. I don't know.
The World of Warcraft. That would actually have been a decent name for it, like Henderson World of Warcraft raiding party.
Yeah. That's sorry guys, I have to go now. I'm renaming my shell team. If you can touch it, Now I sent over on Facebook. I sent you what I thought was going to be the helmet. It may have been a joke. I don't know. It's chrome. It's literally just chrome.
Is it a goalie helmet or the actual helmet?
No, it's the actual. It was a concept for the actual helmet, and it's horrific. Let's see.
All right. Well, let me. Of course, I got everything open. It's going to be slow for me to get this on here.
Look at this. Look, see. That's what I saw, and I thought it was.
Yeah. So that kind of reminds me of you had mentioned earlier, like Notre Dame, which not a bad call on that. But it reminds me of EuroLeagues where they have, in fact,
No, see, Dave, you're wrong because you can't tell what color a EuroLeague's helmet is by all the stickers.
Well, actually, so the EuroLeagues do something kind of cool. Like they denote their top scorer in the league wears a golden helmet, and it's like
Yeah,
shiny gold helmet. Um, and I think that it's kind of like a nice thing to honor the top scorer in the league, but and it can change from game to game too, as other players. Let me share what I've got
that
here.
helmet smells funky by the end of the season, huh?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, you gotta think that they've got multiple floating around, but yeah, that would
The Coyotes just
other dudes funk.
the Coyotes weird like after game MVP. Yeah, look at that.
You know what? I don't hate it.
Uh,
I don't.
really?
I no.
If I can see the ceiling on your helmet, you need to put wax in it.
Oh, maybe they can like strategically place lights to blind the goalie as they come in on it. Like
That would blind me, man.
yeah, hey, maybe could be very strategic. I don't
They
know.
remind me of stormtroopers. I love spitting chicklets comments. You got my name is Earl.
Uh,
Earl thinks it's okay, so it's okay.
that's interesting. All right, but yeah, that's definitely interesting with Henderson. I like the color scheme. I'm not. I don't hate the helmets. I don't think that's going to be what they go with. I do think that's going to be that matte gray.
Maybe if gold is the first scorer, then everybody else is just second best on Henderson.
Yeah,
That makes sense. It's the AHL affiliate,
there you go.
We're all the same.
So the Department of Player Safety handed down a 3-game suspension to Kevin Fiala of the Minnesota Wild for his hit on can't remember his first name, Roy from Los Angeles. That was a nasty hit.
Travis Waugh.
Oh, it's Roy. He's
is
not
it
French
Roy?
Canadian. Well, I guess that's the way he pronounces it.
So
But yeah, so that was a nasty hit. It was from behind. They're heading towards the boards. I mean, it's your classic. Oh, it's 2-0 Washington. I missed the goal.
we got Brock McGinn. He's on the bench. I think he just got hit in the face with a puck. He's in a lot of pain.
That's
Let's see the replay here. Yeah, off I can't tell whose stick. He called a deflection off his stick and it hit him right up under the shield.
ouch.
That's gonna end his game.
Yeah.
No, he's going for it. He's staying out. He's fighting with him to stay on the bench.
Cap's second goal was at 5:22 of the second period. Trevor Van Riemsdyk pots the second one. So 2-0
His
Cap.
brother's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
James.
yeah. JVR is awesome. He's like the only other older voice in that Philly room.
Him and Kevin Hayes. Kevin Hayes is
Kevin Hayes. But no, that was a nasty hit. I've kind of been critical of some of the things that the Department of Player Safety has done, where they seem to still really put the emphasis on the player was injured when it comes to these illegal hits. When Jared McCann threw that obvious elbow, actually really kind of went out of his way to throw an elbow against the Flyers player earlier this season, and he only got a fine because the player wasn't injured. That just to me sends the wrong message. This one was clear. It was in the back, in the boards. I mean, the dude's head bounced off the boards. It was a vicious hit. Even though Fiala doesn't have a history of dirty hits and being suspended, I was okay with the 3 games that they gave for this one.
Yeah, man. I mean, this hit was very reminiscent of the Corey Perry hit from last year's Winter Classic. It's needlessly vicious, and there's not a place for it, even for somebody that likes physical hockey as much as I do. This is just dirty.
Yeah, and
it's not entertaining. It's sad. It's sad that that's what you have to do to feel like you're going to win something.
Yeah, and this is something that you're going to see because, I mean, this is, it was Minnesota versus Los Angeles, and they played, now 4 times in their first 8 games. I mean, this is that familiarity breeds content, and people who are not able to control their emotions are going to make dumb plays, which is sad because Fiala actually scored a goal in that game. I mean, he contributes offensively to that team. He's a great player. He was really good in Nashville. He was a good pickup for Minnesota. It was just needless for him to go and do that hit. Um, but yeah, he got what he deserved. 3 games. Hopefully the league. I would like for the league to get off the idea that for a play to be suspendable, that if you really want to get these dumb hits out of the league, for suspend when somebody does a dumb hit and the person's not injured. If you want that hit out of the league, do it then too. Injury is not the only criteria for why, was this a dirty hit?
Yeah, if it was any other league, if you said the standard for suspension is a concussion or a broken bone,
Yeah.
you would be, just they would be ruthless about that. I just don't think the league's handling it appropriately. I think that it should be if you make a bad hit, you get a suspension. And honestly, right now, suspension is 3 days. Most of these guys could use a break. I mean, but you're going to see a lot of guys zoning out, I think, with these back-to-backs. You have a lot of tired guys that are just going to make dumb plays because they're tired guys.
Sure.
But what is a cross-check any other time other than just checking on somebody?
Yeah. But, you're not seeing like the traditional cross-check as you would see in front of the net. A guy on the power play posted up in front of the goaltender and the guy just, hammering him like that. You're not seeing that called. Generally, your cross-checks now are, usually they're going to end up being boardings, but, I saw one called this week where, Jeff Skinner was skating out of the zone for some reason. I think this is a Lemieux penalty. He raked his stick down his back, set him down, and it was a dumb penalty at a dumb time. And but for the most part, the cross check. I mean, you can make these calls either boarding or cross checking. I think boarding has a different connotation now. We know what effect that play has on. 3-0 Capitals on the power play.
I'm really loving this bet so far.
I bet, man.
Our light's turning out.
It was Tom Wilson on the goal, looks like. No.
Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson's my least favorite player in the league.
It was not Tom Wilson. I always go by the first guy running through the line. So they keep showing Tom Wilson. Panik was actually the first one through the line. Let me see.
Also, Lightning are now up on the Predators 3-1.
Ooh,
so basically what I'm seeing is provided everything stays in line, that parlay is going to check out. If anybody listened to me, you're welcome. If not, you should have got it.
So it was Panik. It went off his ass into the goal. Tom Wilson shot it, hit a cheek, and went in the net. So 3-0 Washington over Boston halfway through the game. So it's 9:57 left in the second.
Nice.
Yeah. So any other news you want to bring up this week?
I think that pretty much that's kind of the place it stands right now. I mean,
cool. Oh, so what you're wearing the Coyotes camo jersey?
Yeah, I got not last year's, but the year before. This is the 2018-19 season Adidas Veterans Day.
Sweet. I am wearing I bought this actually for my wife. But she supported. So when we first started dating, my wife lived in Central Georgia, and she was a fan of a local hockey team there called the Bacon Whoopie, which is this. Let me get the camera here. Tobacco leaf. It looks like the Toronto Maple Leafs logo. In fact, they use the dark blue color like the Leafs. Had green on it. Kudzu green, I guess you could say.
So it's Canucks Leafs crossover.
Yeah, kind of. But Macon Whoopi played in Macon, Georgia for probably about 7 years or so in the late 90s, early 2000s. There's an original Macon Whoopies, I think it was called, back in early 70s that they used to talk about on the NBC Game of the Week when they had it back in the 70s, giving the score for the Macon Whoopies game, but they only lasted like a year or two. This team was in the, let's say, Central Hockey League for a few years, moved up to the ECHL for a year, and then got shipped. The team got sold and moved to like Lexington, Kentucky, or something like that. But it's a great jersey. I love it. I love the play on words. Like every Macon team is kind of a play on words. So there's like a baseball team called the Macon Bacon. There's the new hockey team is the Macon Mayhem. So some play off of Macon is kind of the thing that Macon does for their sports teams. But yeah, she had been looking for this jersey for years. I wanted to rep it tonight because it is. I love it. It's a fantastic jersey. The concept is excellent.
Yeah. Also, around the league, we have hit about the halfway point for the second period for most of the teams that started at 7. The Oilers are up 3-1 on the Maple Leafs. Ooh. McDavid actually just dropped one. I'm not seeing who got the assist on that yet. That is his 6th on the year.
Yeah.
Congrats to Connor McDavid. You're still showing up. God bless him. Penguins Rangers. We've got 3-3. Islanders Flyers 2-2. Capitals, as Dave said a minute ago, Caps are up 3-0 against Boston. Carolina has got a 6-on-5 against the Stars. Lightning against the Predators 3-1. Panthers and Wings are tied at 2. Flames are still up by 1-0. And Colorado and Minnesota started at 8. We're 12:09 into the first, and it is tied at 1.
Yeah, O'Connor for the Avalanche and Matt Dumba for the Wild.
I forgot that Dumba still played.
That's the thing with Minnesota is like they're so. You hit the nail on the head when you talked about they're kind of in that middle. Like they're the team that finishes 9th every year or may make the playoffs.
They're the most least mediocre team out there.
Yeah, I mean they're just they're white bread. I mean they're plain. It's maybe why they have had issues getting the big names outside of Suter and Parise that one year. Having issues getting players to come there is because it's a team that kind of locks in an identity. Like,
and it's so weird because it's the hockey state.
Yeah,
it's Minnesota. Hockey. You would think that Minnesota would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it should be huge in Minnesota, but it's the Wild. I mean, almost feels like the Wild are an afterthought when it comes to hockey. It's like high school hockey is king. Minnesota Golden Gophers are a close second, and yeah, we'll go watch the Wild game. Like I think that's the way it is in Minnesota.
That's dead on. That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's like if you gave West Virginia an NFL team, and but the stipulation was they could only play on Saturdays. The only time anybody would watch it is if WVU is on a bye week.
Yeah, exactly. Or they play a doubleheader or something like that. And, they take the field right after the WVU game, but everyone's, by that time is completely blitzed out of their minds. So they're not even watching the game then.
Unless you implemented like a lingerie football league in West Virginia, nothing's going to ever overcome WVU football. And I think that you're right, man. I think that like one of the funniest things I've ever seen, if anybody watching has not seen them, Minnesota High School, Svechnikov, yes.
Svechnikov, get you another one.
Nothing. Thank you, Svech. Right. Checks on the ice too. So, what's up, buddy? It looks like we got Aho to Svechnikov, backhanded on Kudobin, and embarrassed me. Oh, Svech actually got a bad trip. Got back up, took a 2-on-1, and then backhanded it straight in on Kudobin. Props to Svech. What a kid. No, if you haven't seen Minnesota high school football or high school hockey intros, the
The
player
intros
intro,
are amazing. Like the lettuce line. Oh my goodness!
dude,
Like
it's like a Saturday Night Live skit, but it's
it
real.
is. It's amazing. Yeah, definitely if you're go on YouTube after the show here, and just type in like Minnesota high school hockey intros, and it's like 10 minutes of just pure gold. Like dudes coming out skating out, and then like
They do the Guy Lafleur stop.
mullets. Yeah, they did the Guy Lafleur stop. They did their mullets. There's just massive
Tom,
cabbage. I mean, just like perm fro type thing. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's well
it's
worth
like
the watch.
whenever was it the Chappelle show that did the
Oh yeah,
football?
the college
It's like
all star game. It's kind of like
half
that.
read the comments to see if anybody's saying it's fake yet because you kind of expect it to be, and some
Yeah,
of the names are perfect.
yeah.
There was one kid that played for Minnesota about 4 years ago, and his last name was Lettuce. Lettuce, but he
Wow.
pronounced it lettuce, and it was real.
Well, that's the game though. I mean, like these guys come out and they're just like primped and styled to the nines, man. It's just like some of them kids look like Oglethorpe, man. I mean, it's just like
Yeah, there's more CCM tax pro stock sticks in Minnesota high school hockey than in the NHL. So,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's big business for them. So, it's roughly like Texas football. Like when you think about Texas high school football, that's what Minnesota high school hockey is. It's the
yeah, Friday Night Lights.
yeah, yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about this week?
Uh, I mean, I guess the Canes are my subordinate team um, currently since Arizona's. So, 4-0 Canes.
Oh, they're
Another
dropping
power.
Who got the goal?
It is going to be Ryan DeZingle. I think that's going to be his first of the year, and that will
Yeah,
be
Prince got the zingle on power play.
that'll be I'm trying to figure out who's in the box for that
That's
one.
his second of the season.
Second.
Yeah, I forgot they had the zingle.
Yeah, DeZingle last year performed pretty well actually.
Yeah,
So where I kind of decided a local team a few years ago. Carolina is my local team. They're my second. They're my East Coast team. Whenever I need a home team, it's Carolina, and then whenever Carolina plays Arizona in Carolina, I go as an Arizona fan.
yeah,
But I go to quite a few games in Raleigh because it's only about a 5-hour drive. The hotels are like $50 a night right outside of PNC.
yeah.
Beer's $5 and tickets are $60, so it's like the perfect setup. And Pittsburgh, you're going to pay $200 for a ticket. The hotel's going to be $220. So I just go to Raleigh. So I've been following these guys for a few years, man. This is such a team this year. I love these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was not sold when they brought Brendan Moore in to be the coach. I was like, yeah, that's kind of might be a little too early for him to be an NHL head coach. But man,
I'm excited to see what Ron Francis is going to do with Seattle.
yeah. So it seems to me here's a couple stories we could look at. We talked about Mike Babcock last week. I think he's kind of doing this redemption tour as being a studio analyst for NBC Sports, and there've been some stories that have come out that kind of give his side of the story. Another guy that's had his name kind of put in the press the last few weeks that has been out of coaching for a while is Ted Nolan. Ted Nolan has he coached Buffalo twice. One year was obviously the tank year, and he didn't have a whole lot of nice things to say about Buffalo in that tank year. The ownership there and the general manager at the time. Ooh, Capitals just bowled over Tuukka Rask. Or was it their own goaltender? No, they bowled over their own goaltender, Vitek Vanacek. But he's been out, and there's been accusations about Ted Nolan in the past that he's been blackballed by the NHL. in relation to his first stint with Buffalo, and he had the second stint when he coached with the Islanders. Um, I will hear from 90% of the players that played for him love Ted Nolan. He always got the best out of like some really bad teams. Like Buffalo had Dominic Hasek, but they really had nothing else, and he won the division with them and won Coach of the Year, and was subsequently not renewed his contract. Um, with the Islanders, he did some cool things with them, like bringing back Al Arbor, because Al Arbor, his banner in the arena said Al Arbor 1440 or 1499 games as head coach of the Islander dynasties. So he brought Al Arbor back to coach one game, so he got 1500 games, and the Islanders won that game, which is that's a great thing. So I think there are a couple of redemption stories, and I'll be interested to see if any of those work on getting either Ted Nolan as coach of the Kraken, or Mike Babcock as coach of the Kraken.
I hate what Babcock's doing right now. I feel like he's just trying to prove that he's still relevant, but not really to anybody but himself.
Yeah.
It's
There's so much bad blood about Babcock around the league.
It's sad. And there's so many players. I think the biggest thing Seattle needs to watch out for with Babcock is if you get him, you're going to be on the trade list. You're going to be one of the teams that nobody wants to go to.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but, I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, if they look at Seattle or Vegas as a blueprint, that maybe not as focused on prospect development, but there's a good chance that some young guys get ruined if you're that focused on prospects, or if you have Mike Babcock there to teach your prospects. He's a good coach. He's gotten some good results in Detroit, had good results in San Jose. He did not have good results in Toronto, but I think maybe it's because the league has kind of passed him by. Like, he's been coaching so long. You look at him and you think he's kind of a young dude, but he's been coaching.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been coaching since the late '90s. That's
20 years. The thing he did to Marner was just
that whole thing with Marner, it was bad. I think Marner could have bailed him out a little bit, although that's not his responsibility.
I think the easiest way for Babcock to get bailed out of that one is just to not do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if you coach for that long and you're bound to make just monumental bonehead mistakes, but
I wouldn't think that
it was the boneheadest of boneheadest.
I just don't think that that's I've been doing this for a century, or for a decade.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that you should have figured out whenever you were younger,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know exactly what he was trying to get at there, and that was just, it was a dumb move, and he reputationally has paid the price for it. There was a couple other players with Detroit that mentioned, some of the abuse that they took from him. That
if I'm not mistaken, Caudry said that he was a pretty racist guy. Caudry had some bad blood with him.
I hadn't heard that, but I mean, coaches, that age of coach, it wouldn't surprise me. You talk about players like Akeem Aliu and other players that have come up and have faced racism within the NHL or within the Canadian juniors. There's that age of coach that they're call them old school, and they think that they can get away with doing dumb shit like that. So. But it's changing because you saw the guy in Calgary last year get the axe because he was a dick when he was a Canadian junior coach. So
that may actually be who I'm thinking of. I think that's who I'm thinking of. That Caudry had played for his junior team.
Okay, yeah, because that's right. I remember him coming out against I can't remember the Calgary coach's name, but
I'm mixing up my statement to Caudry because Caudry really didn't like Babcock either. Caudry said some mean stuff about both of them.
My favorite was Mike Commodore, former Carolina Hurricane Mike Commodore. Boy, when he was let go as Toronto's coach. I mean, he was like on Twitter, just like having a party, like, celebrating the fact that, he was like, I want pictures of him leaving, cleaning out his office. And like,
Man, I think the worst Twitter rant from a hockey player ever has to go to Tony D'Angelo.
which one was that?
Oh, you didn't see that?
No.
D'Angelo, whenever Trump got banned from Twitter,
Oh, no, I missed that.
Tony D'Angelo from the Rangers went absolutely ballistic on Twitter talking about how
power play.
Trump is the best president that we've ever had. How dare they ban him? Like, he threw a whole fit. He's leaving Twitter. He's never coming back. Within 24 hours, he'd made a burner account, and somebody had already linked it to him. He was just posting on everybody's stuff, like, about how good Trump is. But, like,
wow.
It was the weirdest political crossover that you ever could have gotten from a hockey player.
Weird flex, bro. Yeah, I mean, at least since Tim Thomas, when he refused to go to the White House when Barack Obama was president. Let's see. David Krejci got the power play goal. Anyway, so good show again, sir. I appreciate it.
That was fun.
We'll get together next week and talk a new week of NHL hockey and news and notes and all that fun stuff. And I'm gonna go crack a beer and go watch some hockey. And I thank everyone for watching us this week. Again, feel free to drop us some questions in the chat next week, and we'll be happy to answer anything that you guys want to know. So
yeah, you can always share stuff. Share our
share the podcast.
That there's two idiots talking about hockey. One of them's wearing a jersey that says "Whoopee" on it.
That's right, making whoopee. Share the podcast if you're on Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like, a thumbs up, and you can hit subscribe, hit the little bell, tell you when we're on broadcasting again. And on Facebook, give us a like and a share, and we really appreciate it. But have a great night, everyone, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.